Hey everyone, welcome back to Tuesday Tea with me, Alicia Baker-Mudrak, and Melissa. We are here with Annette. We are so excited to have her. We are continuing this theme of Summer of Self, just really authentically living and thriving and owning it. And she is here to talk about this idea of self-advocacy, how to unapologetically ask for what we want, get what we want, do what we want. So I'm so excited to dive into all of that in a minute, but let me turn it over, let her introduce herself so you know who's talking to you, where she's coming from, and then we'll get into it. So welcome, Annette.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So my name's Annette Kerlew. I turned 40 this year, so the big 4-0, about a month ago. And I work full time as a EVP of finance at a marketing agency. And I have three little ones. I've also been happily married for almost 9 years. Is it 8 years? This
Wow, yeah.
fall. It's like sometimes it feels longer. But then my three little ones, of course, I have one that's about to turn 6, and then twins that just turned 4. And of course, we just love to torture ourselves, and we have two giant dogs as well that you might hear barking in the background at any time.
Why not just add it on, right? It's already a
Yeah,
full house. I
yeah,
love it.
exactly. So that's some kind of me in a bubble right there. Lots of challenges and ups and downs.
And you are in Jersey, New
Yes,
York, Jersey.
I am
Okay.
in New Jersey, just right outside the city though,
Yeah,
so
basically
we're
New
there
York.
like 40, yeah. I was in like New York.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
love it. So when this kind of I don't know, not phrase, but like statement comes to mind when I kind of introduce that topic of voicing your needs without apology or really the art of self-advocacy. What kind of came up for you and like where do we want to take this?
So I think, I actually love this topic because I feel like for such a long time, like women have always kind of sometimes taken a step back or like not always had like the strongest voice in the room, because obviously we've dealt with years of pay gaps and things like that. But what honestly like came for me to mind, because I think now that I'm older, it comes a lot more naturally for me. It's like knowing who I am more. Like every year, I feel at that age, I know myself more, and I know what I want, what I don't want, and if you can't communicate those wants and needs, like you can't get anywhere. Like you're kind of
Mm,
just stuck. So I feel like for me, it's like it's a combination of being able to like speak your mind, which takes confidence. I feel like as you age more and more, like you get more and more confident, but also like knowing exactly who you are. And with every year that passes, that happens as well. So kind of like that self-awareness and that confidence was really came to mind. Yeah.
what do you think has helped you build that confidence or even become aware? These are maybe two different questions, like or even become aware of what you like or what you want, because I think you're right, those are like the foundation, but I also hear still from people our age who like still don't know or like don't
Yeah.
feel that permission or that confidence.
Yeah. And I totally get that. And I feel like every day that goes by, like I'm still learning. But this is gonna sound kind of dumb, but I feel like it's almost going through things that you do not like to do. So like this is very just to keep this very simple, and it's gonna sound like such like a pick me girl thing to say, but like when I was younger, in my 20s, I like was a huge football fan because I like loved going to like the bar on Sundays and like cheering for my team, and I get like so into it. I freaking hate football. Like I hate it. Like, did I like going to the bar with my friends and having fun? Sure, but like I did not give a shit about what was happening on the screen, like who was gonna win the game or anything like that. And I just remember like getting older and being like, I just don't care. Like I don't care. And I when I met my husband, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pretend to like football or not. Like I don't. If that's something that you're gonna like me for, then that's not gonna
Not
help
me.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just felt like I'm just not going to pretend to like things anymore for other people. And a lot of times like it happens like in relationships, it's just like, oh, like I'll try this out. And like, yes, my one friend, she dated someone, she like pretended to love rock climbing. I was like, you hate rock climbing. Like you're not adventurous at all. So it's like going through like those kind of experiences, like tells you like I feel like you become more self-aware of who you are, and then that makes you a bit more confident too. So like when you're able to just say like I just don't care anymore, like I'm not going to like pretend to like this or like someone or anything like that, that builds like your confidence up because I
Mm.
think you also realize like it's not the end of the world when you speak up about it. And if anything, it's going to be better because people will like you more because you're more authentic.
Mm.
So I think it's like that combination of like just going through those like negative things and not wanting to do them again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
super real. I feel that a lot. Like I think sometimes we have this like the more we don't speak up, the more mystery or sort of like anxiety we get about like maybe speaking up because we're like, oh, what's going to happen? But it's like you're right, right? Like most
yeah,
times when you do speak up, it's actually the person, I mean, unless they're just a complete asshole and then you probably don't need them in your life anyway, they're going to usually respond at least like, oh, like okay, like no big deal, or
yeah.
whatever it may be. I heard you say that like you went through these experiences that like kind of made you more self-aware, and then you just got to that point where you're like, I don't actually like that. Was there like a pivotal moment that you had that like aha of like, oh, I actually don't want to do any of these things and I don't want to do anything I don't want to do? Or was it just like a slow build over time? How was that process for you? Because I think a lot of women
Yeah.
struggle with how do I get there? Like I
Yeah.
want that and I see that, but like I'm here and I don't want to say anything and I'm scared to speak up. So I would love to hear
Yeah.
how that's been for you.
No, it's a really good question. I think it was actually a combination of both. So I'll start with like the moment for me was that I was living in DC after I graduated college for like 5 years. And I was dating someone that like wouldn't really fully commit. And it was one of those classics, like he probably just wasn't into it as much as I was into it. And I just found myself like, it seemed like such like a doormat type of situation. And we ended up breaking up. I moved back to New York. And I just remember like I was 27. And I remember being like, I just don't care anymore about like dating. I want to have fun. And I was like, I want someone who's that it's easy to be together with. So like
Mhm.
basically it's like I know that like we will, it's just gonna click. I know that they will basically want to be with me because of who I am. I won't have to like try. And that's what I
Yeah.
was doing when I was in DC.
Mm.
And so that moment for me is what kind of like pushed me to be like more authentic with myself. And like I also was like, I have to be very happy with who I am because if I'm not happy with who I am, I could be like miserable at 50 years old. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put a lot of energy into like loving myself at that time. And also I was like
Mm.
having fun. I'm like back in New York, like, people, it's kind of Peter Pan syndrome in New York. Like we don't really like settle down to like our
Yeah.
30s, mid 30s
Yeah.
type
You're
of
still
thing.
like a baby at 27. You're
Yeah.
like, what is
Yeah. So
marriage? What is life?
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
for
So
now.
27, I'm like, this is my time to experiment with myself, everything. Like, but it was also a slow roll too, because it wasn't the easiest thing to do that.
Yeah.
And also I did find that in my personal life, it was a bit easier than in like my professional life. So I felt like for me to speak up even just about like a salary raise or like
Oh,
not taking on like a extra role in my company or something like that,
yeah.
that I always was a little bit more, it was a little harder for me and it took some time to build that up. I'm definitely there now. And I still feel like I need to work on that a bit too, but that was a slower process, I think, in my personal life. So I think it was like the moment of like going through a bad breakup, but then like intentionally, like really saying like put myself first. And then also like going through different life experiences with work and stuff like that too.
I love that you differentiated between like the work and the personal. I think that's so important, especially, I mean, I'm guessing finance is like a pretty male dominated field. And so that was probably like
Yeah.
extra hard for you. Like, I think it's hard for women anyway. I just navigated this myself. I was offered a promotion and they offered me something. And my first instinct is just to take it.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, because
Yeah.
women are just conditioned to be like, oh, I'm so grateful for this seat at the table. And it's like, I'm the
Right.
fucking table. Like,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like,
Well,
but men,
and our field, Melissa, like we're both in like helper
oh,
fields where they really
that's
make you
right.
feel guilty. Like there is no extra
Oh,
money. You can't ask for it. You should just be helping the children and the people. And like,
oh
so
my
it's like,
gosh.
it's
Oh my
like
God.
more fucked up in a different way than like and we're like women dominated, obviously, industries. And it's also harder I think in a different way,
Yeah,
sometimes they get you than the
I
male
could totally
dominated
understand
one.
that.
That's so
Yeah.
true. And my
Yeah.
boyfriend was like, you absolutely cannot accept
Counter.
this. I don't care
Yeah.
what you do. And they may not even meet you. Like it may, and then you can decide what you want to do. And so that hearing your experience kind of got me thinking too about like, how does your partner, your husband, like play into
Hmm.
your ability to continue to self-advocate? Because I think sometimes having a partner that is going to like support you in those things and not have you like in this very socialized women
Ugh.
spot of like just, oh, I'll just take what I'm given and be grateful and thank you, like patriarchy, you know? So I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind like sharing about how your
Yeah.
partnership helps that part of you and like helps you like continue to do that work for yourself.
Well, it's really such a good question because he drives me absolutely bonkers sometimes because he's always said to me, like, if I was complaining about something at work, he would always say, like, well, that's your problem because you haven't discussed
On
like the
anything.
roles and responsibilities or the challenges that you're complaining to me about with your boss. And I'm like, oh, I know, I know. Let me just vent. But he's always pushed me to be like, you have to lay out at work, like exactly what you want. And he's also very good at like doing it professionally, right? So it's never like, some people will say, well, so and so makes this much money, and therefore I should be making that much money. Like, people, at the end of the day, employers don't like to hear that. They want to know, like, what are you contributing to us that warrants like this
Right. What's
salary
the
or something
cost
like that?
benefit?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So he's always been very good at like advocating the very professional way of doing it. So it's not just like he's not just like kind of like scolding me for like not doing what I need to do. He's giving me like suggestions on how to do it too from a professional standpoint. And also, Ryan and I are very different way we handle conflict in our personal life. Like, he's very direct. He doesn't like to like talk shit on people. He likes to just be like, if we're gonna talk about somebody, we're gonna talk to them because he cares about his friendships. And that's what something I find like incredible about him.
Mm.
Versus me, it's like I kind of view it more of like I don't want to hurt their feelings. Like I'm like my heart drops into like a pit in my stomach. But like over the years, I've been like, no, you know what, you're right. Because if I do care about someone and I want a long-term friendship with them, like I need to like advocate for myself or like things and just have more open dialogue. And that's definitely challenging for me. But like, so I think the short answer to your question is that he pushes me, but he pushes me with like the resources and the tools to like help me get to that. And sometimes we still butt heads about it. I'm just like, I can't say that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I think it's like a middle ground we've come to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
I think it's so helpful, this like conversation, whether it's your partner or other people in our lives. Like, I think it reminds us of how important community is
Yeah.
and how instead of all having to be exactly the same or all think alike or whatever, but we can take our weaknesses and find someone with those strengths and then make it our own, right? Like, he's like, here's some ideas. Like, my husband is similar. I almost wrote like not the best emails, like so frustrating. He's like, give me your phone, right? Like, and then he made it sound like really nice without all my feelings. And honestly, I think men are socialized differently in the
Yeah.
workplace. And so if you got that leg up there and you have those extra like it just comes more naturally to you, or you're like taught that differently, or you feel less apologetic about it, then I'll learn from you, and but I can make it my own, right? It can also be my
Right.
voice, or the way I, as still a woman, maybe I couldn't just totally say that, or I wouldn't say it like that, or that isn't
Yeah.
my thing, but I can like learn from where you've been gifted in life, and I can like help,
Right.
and vice versa, right? So I think though, just like having that community amongst other females, and then also our counterparts and just other groups, to figure out how to find our authentic voice, but we don't have to do it alone, right? It
Yeah.
can be helped and shaped and supported by folks who've had different experiences or have different strengths or different privileges. We can use that collectively in a really
Yeah.
powerful way too.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a really good point about community too, because I think about like the way I am like as a leader now at my company, and I love to like build people up. Like, I almost want this is gonna sound so bad, but like I should be able to like go on vacation and like nobody skips a beat. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
it should be fine. And I'm always trying to bring my teams along with me. And I think like as women, we tend to be like, more empathetic. So we know that someone might be wanting to speak up or like say something. So I always try and get my teams, like I do a monthly all hands. It's not really an all hands, it's like in finance, we just go through our results, but I like bring them along and I say, anybody have any ideas? Like, and it's every single person in every department I manage because I don't just want to hear from the leaders. I want to hear from like the person that just graduated from college and just started because I want to give them like a platform to speak on. I have an open door policy and I always like remind them of that and everything. Because I do know how hard it can be when you're younger, trying to like communicate, express your ideas and things like that. And like if you don't feel like the environment is open for that, it's really challenging to do that.
Yeah.
So I try and like create like a more casual environment for people to like speak up to me directly too. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think sometimes we fall victim to like we perpetuate things that were done to us because like either by intentionally or unintentionally,
Right.
right? We're either we're
Mhm.
so used to the system, so we just continue like status quo, or like sometimes we feel like, well, I had to pay my dues, so you're gonna have to
Yeah.
pay yours, and
Yeah.
I think that's really lovely and like sort of radical and like awesome that you're not using your experience that maybe you didn't have anyone like that, but now you want to be that for somebody else. And I
Yeah.
think that that really is like sort of the perfect like penultimate like way we should be, right? Is like we all should be wanting someone else's experience to be a little better, or like
Yeah.
Yes.
let me
Yeah.
blaze this trail so that you all wouldn't have to do it. I'm not gonna like be able to get that back. So like what is the point of me holding that onto that now? So I think
Yeah.
that a huge part of like helping others self-advocate is like creating or utilizing those moments that you have a little bit of power to like influence that space for other people so they can also
Yeah.
maybe when you didn't feel like you could do that when you were 27 as much but now maybe they will, and hopefully in turn they'll do that for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like really interesting you say that because when you look at Gen Z and stuff coming up, like people were saying, first it was us, right? The millennials, like, oh, they don't want to work. It's like they spend more money on their avocado toast, like bologna stuff, kind of things like that. Now, Gen Z has kind of done this whole thing where like their work-life balance is like very important to them.
Mhm.
And we do see people that are like, well, it's back to paying my dues. Well, before COVID, like, especially with COVID, when everyone's working from home now and stuff, because that really revolutionized like the way people work. But they were very much like, well, we used to work like all these hours in the office, and I'd be like getting pizza like at 9 o'clock at night. And sometimes like, I have to say to like leadership teams and stuff, I'm like, yeah, but maybe
That
we
wasn't
were doing it
healthy.
wrong. Like
Mhm.
maybe it's like maybe they're onto something. Like it's like work smarter, not necessarily harder.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like you should pay your dues a bit, but at the same time, like, let's not make that the forefront of the conversation. Like, let's try and open our eyes because this entire generation, like, the whole thing of quiet quitting and stuff, like, it's not going to go away. So it's
Right.
like, it's like a whole generation that's kind of behind this. So I feel like we have to be more communicative with them and hear their voices out and
Yeah.
understand like their needs too.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right. You don't
yeah.
get to graduate and make $100,000 a year when you have no skills or experience. But
Yeah.
we also don't think you have to work 100 hours over what you're
Right.
paid
Right.
for like nothing. And that's not
Exactly.
appropriate either. Like,
We don't have to
Yeah.
punish
what's
you.
the middle? Right.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
there needs to be room
Yeah.
for growth, but like in a
Yeah.
healthier way, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, since you both are moms, what how does this play out with your kids? Like being able to maintain your voice or thinking of yourself or your own needs. And I understand that this will change at different ages and in different stages, but I'm just curious, like how tricky or easy is it to kind of translate this when you're in your parenting role versus some of these other roles?
Oh my gosh.
Good
So for
question.
me, I like literally just bought a book where it's like this flat book that shows you like the different emotions that kids can go through and like how best to channel it because this is actually like very challenging um as a parent because they are learning their emotions and how to behave and how to communicate around them. And I didn't realize like how difficult it was to actually teach that
Mm,
because I'm ADD. So like if I'm overstimulated, I might lose it. And when then I lose it, I yell and I don't like that. So helping them control their emotions is something I have to like put in the forefront of parenting because If not, my emotions will get triggered and I'll like lose my lid. So it's challenging for sure, but it kind of goes back to like you're making a decision to like put that into practice.
Yeah.
And look, every day I would say is a struggle for me, especially like with the twins. Like the terrible threes are a real thing. They just turned 4. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, you just turned 4. You're supposed
Come
to be
on.
a little more
Get
chill.
into the
Like,
4 age
yeah,
zone.
yeah. But there's still, because like they're all so close in age, they all want the attention. They all want to be heard. And they're all speaking over each other. So I have to like intentionally really think about like how to manage that.
Mm.
Because if not, like it's kind of selfish to say, but like I'll lose my mind.
No, it's
Not
Um,
selfish. It's
selfish.
real.
It's not
That's,
yeah,
selfish.
just factual.
yeah, exactly. So I'll spend money on tools and resources to help me because I
Yeah.
know I'm not an expert. So it's like I've got to like study that almost.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
love that. That is like incredible. You should, I just want you to like also step back and like give yourself a huge amount of credit for knowing that that's
Thank you.
not what you know and like stepping outside of yourself and like borrowing a resource or, purchasing a resource. And I think for some reason we think kids should just know how to regulate their emotions. And it's like we don't
Yeah.
expect them to know how to read on their own or how to ride a bike on their own, but we expect them to be able to when often adults cannot
I was like,
regulate
have you met
their emotions.
half of America?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Grown-ass people don't know how to
Right
do
now
that,
we
let
have
alone
like
a
people
small
in like the
human.
government, like having like a
I
full-blown
mean,
tantrum war
I
online.
know. I was about to
So
say, I'm like, Andy Cohen just like tweeted like, "Hey, I'll host a reunion," and I think Elon Musk was like, "I'm there." I
I
Literally,
was like,
mean, we should definitely have another call about that
"Yeah,
because
yeah."
that's just
what
like
is going
wackadoo.
on?
I
Um,
know.
no, but I think too, like as someone that I have an educator background, right? So like I have to, even as an educator, I'm like my kids push me to my absolute limit sometimes. And I think exactly what you said is coming from a place of like remembering that they're little and that their frontal lobe is like very
Yeah,
far from being developed. And like, I actually say to my kids, I am feeling very frustrated that you are not listening, or like, mommy needs a
yeah.
minute because I'm very frustrated. I'm going to lose it.
Me
And I
too.
think
Yeah,
just vocalizing that and it forces me to say it in a calm way because I'm like modeling what I'm supposed to do and I don't feel calm. But I used to do this as a teacher too. I think
Yeah,
sometimes totally well intentioned, we shy away from expressing to our children that we are real humans with real emotions that are messy and often negative. Like, I'm allowed to feel frustrated just because I'm an adult doesn't mean I don't have any frustrations or feelings of anger or any of those negative
yeah,
emotions, right? Now, I shouldn't scream at my kids when I'm feeling that way. Sometimes we all
yeah.
do,
I
but
hear. I do.
no, but like I think it's really healthy to just name that. And I think that in and of itself, just like naming how you're feeling is such a good like modeling for
Yeah,
kids that like the emotion isn't the negative thing. Like I always tell my
no,
kids, you're allowed to feel anything you want. You're
but you
not
deal
allowed to
with it.
scream at your sister though, right? Like, or
right.
you're allowed to feel frustrated. You're not allowed to throw a tantrum. Like the feeling is fine, but it's like usually what we do after the fact. And
Hmm.
so I'm a big believer, and I don't know like
Yeah,
what people what like the research or what like the professionals would say like psychology wise or if I'm like fucking up my kids but um I tell them regularly, like, I'm feeling frustrated. I need a break or
yeah,
I need a moment by myself with no one talking to me.
Yep,
And
yeah,
I think that shows my own self-advocacy, which hopefully will show them that it's okay for them to advocate.
yep,
And you see those little moments where they do it and it feels really good, like, okay, thankfully something's sticking, when they're not like
yeah,
screaming at
yeah,
each other and punching each other or whatever else. But baby
yeah.
steps. We've got to
It's
start
so
somewhere.
true. It's so true because actually what's funny is too is that I recently was like, I need a minute. Like I just need a minute and I locked myself in the bathroom and my oldest, he like told my twins, he was like, Mommy just needs a minute. Like we're driving her crazy. And I was like, yeah, like you like and I tell them the same thing. I'm like very honest with them
Mhm.
about like the way I'm feeling. And I also like will tell them like I want you to be able to come talk to me no matter what. So
Yeah.
like when they even are upset, like I'll try to get them to calm down, and then I'll just be so talk to me about what happened. Like
Yeah.
yep,
tell me how you were feeling. Because I want them to know that like no matter what, they can always come to me.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be funny, but like I kind of call it they don't I haven't said it to them yet, but I'm like, it's like my heart to hearts with them. You know, when you're like with your friend and had too many glasses of wine. You're like, let's have a heart to
Yep.
heart. Like, I
On the
love those.
bathroom floor, you're locked
Yeah,
in, everyone's waiting. You're like, we're doing something important. Shut up. Yes.
exactly, exactly. But I almost like like channel that a little bit because I'm like, those are fun. I feel like everybody tends to like those, and it brings people closer together. So I'm like, all right, let me try and get a heart to heart with one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I think in both of these cases, it's ways you are both practicing what, communicating what you're needing, what you're feeling. Like it's like a forced practice
yeah,
of like having to be real and check in with yourself and then communicate that very clearly and directly to somebody else.
right,
And it's this like
yeah,
little experiment, but then how can we take that into other arenas and keep
yeah,
doing that?
Yeah.
Because I do think, and as from the psychology perspective, it's very important to do that with your children because if you grow up thinking there's nothing but like happy feelings, and then you become an adult and have a non-happy feeling, you think your world's ending because you did something wrong because mom
yeah,
never had a not happy feeling or my parents
Mhm.
never fought or whatever, right?
yeah,
So as detrimental as people screaming or abuse in the home can be, I think like having a home where there's no conflict and everything's fine and is
Yeah.
separate
yeah,
is like just as detrimental in a different way,
yeah.
you know?
It's true.
So
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's not all roses.
True.
So yeah,
And they need strategies to know how to like handle that and like
yeah,
how to
yeah,
respond. And I always say to
yeah,
people, like, it's not about like control as it like a negative thing of like you have to control yourself. It's like you need to learn how to regulate and manage your emotions because those are a very real part of life. And like it's okay to have negative or big emotions. It's just like we can't, scream and kick and lay, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
not a healthy way of dealing with it. So yeah, I think that's so such a good point and really healthy.
yeah, yeah.
as a side note, something that I always still think about is Dan Siegel's hand model of the brain is like really helpful for kids. It's like this is your prefrontal cortex, so your logic brain, and this is your limbic, like primitive brain. So when you flip your
Uh-huh.
lid, you're just in your like survival brain. So I do it with like
Yeah.
my adults all the time. I'm like, was your lid flipped? But it's like a language, and there's like
Interesting.
videos, and it's for kids, and you can like find the YouTube. There's like a glove you can have if you want to learn if your kids
Oh,
like it
I need to
about
look
the
at
brain.
that.
I use it a lot with
Yeah,
my like
Really
trauma
cool.
therapy kids, but it's for all humans. But
yeah,
it just reminds us like how do we get this back online to
Mm,
filter and make like concrete decisions instead of just being reactive.
yeah,
But it's like a language like my lid's flipping, like what do we need? Here's the tools we have, so
yeah,
it's just something fun you guys might it's like
that's
meant for
awesome.
children, but it's helpful for
yeah.
adults.
Well,
So
what's really interesting about this like emotional flat book that I got, and it's funny because I like saw it on TikTok and I'm like, okay, like maybe because my older twin boy, he's like our middle child. He came out first. He's not technically the middle child, but like
but he acts like
kind of
one.
he is. He came out
Yeah.
first, and he is very emotional all the time, like every morning, every night, like. And he's also loud. Like he's one of those people that he's probably gonna be a loud talker when he gets older. And I'm like, oh, like so for me, yeah. So when he's like so loud, I'm like so overstimulated that like I'll lose it. And I started to notice like that he catches on like he's like I get yelled at the most and I'm like and it's not you're not misbehaving the most if your
The
loudness and
hardest
your
to rein
emotional
in.
right so it's I am yelling at him more because it's just he's not like misbehaving the most he's actually the sweetest one he'll share over all of them so when I got this flat book what he's been doing like we've been using it every week he like I explained to him like find the picture of what you're feeling are you angry are you sad but then behind it, it gives you steps. Like it'll say, take a deep breath, talk to an
Mm-hmm.
adult. And what's funny is like, because I have read like if you go to a kid who's having like a tantrum and you say, hey, like touch your nose. Like if you make them just think of
Yeah.
something
They
else,
go move to here
Yeah.
instead of
yeah,
here.
it like gets them out of it. So it's like that whole hand that you were just showing. Like when I start reading to him like what he can do to calm himself down, it's like his brain forgets that he's angry and he's focused on like the things to do. So it's like a game almost.
Yep.
And that's what I've been noticing has been helping the most with this. It's like
Yeah.
not so much understanding what to do, but like going through it with him. And he likes to do the things. So
Right.
he'll like take a deep breath, he'll count to 10, he'll think of something that makes him happy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it really is almost like the distraction from the emotion that gets
Right.
them more regulated in a way. Yeah.
Right. Because you cannot
Yeah.
be in your logic and emotion brain at the same time. So, like,
Yeah.
you literally are closing it for him. He's back in his
Yeah.
logic brain. That's why for adults, like, name, recite your favorite Backstreet Boys song lyrics, like, label
Yeah.
objects, count backwards, because you can't. you can't be in both. So it's going to take a break, which stops the
Ah,
snowball, which then when we come back to it, 9 times out of 10, the thing that we were like ruminating, spiraling, whatevering about is irrelevant and gone or much less. And we
yeah.
can stay more connected to like, okay, what's like my decision instead of just my reaction. So
Okay.
that's why
Yeah.
that
I
stuff
mean,
works
so
for him,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great.
So I never knew it was like connected like that because like
Yeah.
obviously I don't have like a degree in psychology and stuff like that, but it's
Yeah.
super
Why
interesting
would you
stuff.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it works. And then it's like helps us, right? Like it's like when those moments full circle back, like when we're afraid to ask for the raise or we're worried about like upsetting the friend or whatever, we're in our emotions. So like let's take a moment, take a pause, get back online. Okay, what am I feeling? How do I
Hmm.
want to approach this? What choices do I want to make? And then we can kind of act more in that decision space versus just like in our mitigating reaction,
Yeah.
like trying to avoid
Yeah.
space, you know.
Yeah.
Kids
Yeah.
are the
It's
best
so true.
teachers. They fascinate me. I don't have
They
my
do.
own. I'm
Yeah.
cool. I'm fine with that, but I enjoy other people's and learning from my clients and their children and all the things.
Yeah.
So, um, well, we could just keep going forever, but in the interest of time, what Annette would be like a last summary, a last word of wisdom, something you want to really like leave folks with today?
I would say like, advocating for yourself, speaking your mind, things like that. It's always easier said than done. I think like especially as women, like you're probably going to see people on social media, like TED Talks, all these things where like they're always going to be talking about it. And I just want you to remember it's not a slow roll. I mean, it's not a fast roll. Like it's more of a slow roll. Some people it might happen for them naturally. Some people might be quick learners and can pick it up like that. And then some people it's going to take them like their whole lives to do that.
Mm,
And I think that I would tell people that you need to consciously work on it, but don't be upset. Like if you're not there, like in a year, 5 years, 10 years, just continue. Always work on yourself. And this will always improve. Like my motto is always continuous improvement. Like I'm
mm.
not perfect, or even if you ever get to the point of perfection, there's probably still more improvement there. So it's just constantly working on it, but like consciously working on it too.
I love
So I
it.
think that's like what I'd leave people with.
I love that. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to share, promote, let people know
I mean,
about?
I will say like one of my biggest passions right now. I mean, you've seen me on TikTok. I freaking love it, and I just love like I feel like there's this audience of like moms like every day going through like the motions. Like you see them from morning to night, like their routine, and then there's not that big of an audience of like moms that are just like talking about things that are especially like corporate moms too, and also not just that, but like aging the way you want to age. Like I'm really big on like I still want to look good. Like I still want to have fun. Like I still want to party if I want to. Like things like that. So
Yeah.
I would say like if you're someone like that and you're looking for someone who's honest, authentic, and is going to bring all of that to the table, find me on TikTok if you want. I love my people on there, and my it's just my hashtag Annette Kerlew. Not hashtag or my at Annette Kerlew.
Yeah. I'll make sure to
But I
link
love
it
it on
too.
there. Yeah, I'm always posting and
I will
just
be
yeah,
following you because
Yeah.
I
Her
agree
stuff's
with
good.
that. I don't have a lot of, I feel like there is not a huge market of women that are like working moms that are also on there. It's like the work from home mom. And I don't want to take anything away from the work from home mom because that's
yeah,
amazing too. And that there's like so many different paths of like, you know, everything.
It's just
And
different.
sometimes it
yeah,
is nice to have someone that's sort of going through a similar storm that you are. And so I appreciate that. I can't wait to follow you.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone go follow
It's
her.
yeah, and it's so fun. Like it's funny on there too. So I'm
Yeah.
like, this,
And you get to see
Yeah.
yeah,
her kids sometimes, and they're always
yeah.
doing fun things. She's always wearing good outfits. So great. Good
Oh, thanks.
skincare, inspo,
Oh
all
my
the
God, I
things.
love it. That's like my side
That's her
hobby.
jam.
Love skincare.
Well, we
Yeah,
so appreciate you being here today. This was such a fun conversation. I know folks are
yeah,
going to take a ton from it. So I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and we'll see you next time.
yeah. Thank you. This was great. So happy to be here.
Bye.